Kenya, mawulire, obusiima bugende. Si butuufu, Tanzania, abaana ba Uganda.
Thank you very much. I hope you can all hear me. Yeah, so I'm waiting for the slide to come out. So basically, East African Packaging Industries is a 65-year-old business. We are in the paper packaging space. So we basically make paper packaging solutions, your cartons, your paper sacks, your balers, if you've heard of those. I saw someone from the tea sector. I know you use some of the tea sacks. So our project was based on shop floor automation. So we have machines that run our production lines. And these machines were linked to our core business system, but most of the entries were done manually. So they had to be a person at the terminal entering information for us to capture it. And there were always those human-related errors or people indicating downtimes that were not actually downtimes. So to be able to improve the accuracy of that information and give visibility to the production supervisors and the production team at a higher level, and be able to utilize some of that data and insight for decision making. So planning properly and scheduling jobs properly and making sure that if there's multiple downtimes, we know then we need to do some preventive maintenance or at least tackle some of the issues that are on the shop floor. So how did we accomplish this? I'll just skip the agenda for now. I already told you about the company. So basically we involved the stakeholders quite early. So the brainchild of this was actually our head of manufacturing, or supply chain director. So he came to us and told us that we need a way to automatically capture this data in real time and provide that telemetry to the relevant users so that they can utilize it to improve some of that production planning process. So initially, it used to take about 12 hours to do the booking of the order, matching that to a BOM or bill of materials. That's just basically what goes into the inputs that go into the product, doing the scheduling, so deciding what runs at one time on what machine, and sharing that information, which was largely through email. So basically, you plan the schedule, send it to the person on the shop floor. They have a terminal there or end user computer, so they check the schedule. So we wanted to bring that live through an interface to the core business system that we were using for production. And that's where now we decided for that visibility to address these three pain points that you're seeing here. So obviously manual processes consume time and they reduce efficiency. So we needed to address that. There was no real-time visibility for guys in customer service and dispatch who are part of supply chain, and they need that information as quickly as they can get it. So instead of having to send an email, wait for the response hours later, or call, the person is not at their desk, so they have to walk there. They just get that information live from the dashboard. So there was also limited agility when it came to maybe a customer wants this product immediately and they're saying, I need it in 3 days, but you know that you have not been able to tell that this machine, can we run it on there or can we run it on this other machine? So you have to go consulting and asking. You don't have first-hand information. So that visibility was not there initially. The solution, this is what we call a PLC. For those who are in the manufacturing space, I'm sure you heard of them, programmable logic controllers. So you can basically link up your network and your machine to be able to talk to each other. So it creates like a smart computing interface for your network to be able to talk to your actual industrial equipment. So it's an OT device or equipment. So we link that up with sensors. So these sensors are the ones that were detecting the runs. Is the machine running? Is it stopped? How fast is it running? What jobs are scheduled? You can now actually track the number of passes that have gone through. These are the number of downtimes that have happened on that specific machine automatically instead of someone standing there and keying that information in. So initially we wanted to go for a full-blown MES solution, but we realized they are quite expensive. So we had now to engage the partner or the vendor of our business system, and we asked them, how can we get this at a better or more economical solution? So basically something that's more affordable, because it was quite expensive to overhaul that system and integrate it, because integrations also bring complexities. So they told us, actually, we do have a solution for you, and you can actually leverage the existing platform. And that for us was a big win, because we saved a lot in terms of cost avoidance. So all we had to do was set up these devices, connect the sensors, and then bring it was a small client that we deployed on the back end on the server, and it was able to talk to the system seamlessly. Implementation, it was a straightforward project. 18 months, most of it was planning, but the actual execution took about, let me say, 4 months, 3 months. And of course, as I said, you always have to involve your stakeholders, because ultimately, if you bring a tool or a solution without talking to the people who are going to use it, they will try, even sometimes sabotage the thing, because they're used to working in a certain way, and you have to actually bring in the change management aspect of that. So you make sure that they get buy-in from them, not just the top management, not just the sponsor, not just the exec, but the people at the shop floor. So your operators, your production supervisors, so that they actually see the value of what you're trying to implement. And that's the way we are going. So the key stakeholders, as I've said, to the brainchild of our supply chain and head of manufacturing. He speaks to it at the board level. I don't actually speak to the board. And the regional finance and strategy officer, who was more or less our sponsor, because he's the holder of the purse. So he decides what you can buy and what you can't buy, or what you can invest in and what you can't invest with. The procurement team, obviously the logistics around getting the devices, they are not available locally. So we had to do some importation, and our partner, Advantive, based in the UK. Unfortunately, we couldn't find any local partners to do this type of implementation. Engineering team, of course, the technicalities around setting that up, shop floor supervisors, the guys coordinating the shop floor team, and the production planning team, who obviously are the ones who schedule the jobs, make sure they run on time and are delivered to the customer in good time. And the IT team, of course, supporting that on the back end, and myself as the project lead and manager. So the major challenge initially, as I'd said, we had wanted to do a full-blown MES overhaul and bring in a new Nini, but that at least we sidestepped. So now it was making sure that the devices are actually compatible and configurable for our machines, because some of them are 40 years old, some of them are a bit newer, 2010, so we had to make sure they're compatible with all of them. And fortunately for us, that was the case. So just to speak to the outcomes, so there are 5 major milestones that we were able to achieve with that project. So obviously we had efficiencies. So the production time used to be 12 plus hours. It was reduced significantly to about 1-2 hours. Real-time data capture and telemetry. So people now could actually be able to see how the machines are running in real time. Oh, sorry, I'm saying I'm out of time. So in real time, and the other thing is the elimination of the manual data entry errors by capturing, obviously, these feeds in real time. And the planned jobs now were able to be locked in. So basically, whatever is to be run is to be run, and that's what the person on the shop floor machine has to run. So initially, we used to have this instance whereby someone would decide, remove that job, put this other one. But now you couldn't do that, because it was now interlinked to the system. And sometimes it used to be quite disruptive, especially when you have orders that have to be fulfilled. Then you find out they aren't fulfilled because someone decided to take their own mandate and remove that job and replace it with another one. Yeah, so obviously, just speaking to the other aspects, it improved. And one of the things that we got was the shop floor operators were very pleased with the system. They were like, at least now we have visibility. Now we have confidence in this, because we don't get confused anymore. Because someone can send this job order and then they're telling us run this other one, but now we can see it and it's locked in. So just to wind up, lessons learned, obviously I've spoken to, you have to make sure that you involve your stakeholders as early as possible. You have to align this project with your strategic objectives. So our core business is manufacturing, and obviously there has to be a return on investment of that from a productivity point of view, from a cost reduction point of view, and efficiency point of view. And of course, the configuration. So you have to check and make sure your infrastructure is OT ready so that you can have a smooth integration. So just winding up quickly. So the conclusion, engagement, infrastructure, alignment. The unexpected outcome we had was we now do monthly feedback from the shop floor team as we tweak and refine. This is a project we rolled out about 6 months ago. So it's in its infancy, if I can call it that. So we're still fine-tuning some of those issues. Like, for example, one of the issues we discovered is sometimes it will say there's a downtime, but it's just the run speed that's a bit slow. So once it picks up pace, it sees that as running correctly. So there's no Q&A, unfortunately, but that's what we did as East African Packaging Industries as part of the shop floor automation. Thank you.